everything you need to know, the said and unsaid, unscripted.
What's Wagyu? What's Angus?
Would you mix it with its own fat or fat from something else?
That's why you don't touch it in terms of smashing it.
How important it is not to look at the meat, but feel it and put the temperature in.
So it's very easy to get good quality, freshly ground meat these days.
Beef, everything you need to know. Burger Unscripted. Welcome to another episode of Burger Unscripted with the food expert, with the burger expert, Ramsey, with more than 40 years of experience. We're going to talk about burgers, everything you need to know, the said and unsaid, unscripted. And today's episode is all about meat. Should we say beef or meat?
Meat is a wider category, so chicken can fall under meat. I would say beef.
Would you go into doing a lamb burger and a goat burger? Have you ever had a goat burger?
I have had a goat burger and I've had a lamb burger, and both of them were two different experiences, completely different palate tastes versus beef. Maybe the way it was done, whatnot. For me, it's a bit gamey. De la is way, which because I grew up more in the U.S., not accustomed to it, so it wasn't that pleasant for me, to be honest. However, when I do eat lamb and rice and whatnot, it's beautiful when it's done right. So I'm the worst person to do that. I would not venture into that right now.
So let's start by asking you your personal favorites. For you, what is a burger? What should the beef be in a burger? If you want to create your own, how would you think and why?
So as we mentioned earlier, mainly people most of the times use chuck. And what is chuck? Chuck is the shoulder of the cow. And realistically, it has sort of the best portion ratio when it comes to fat to lean. 80-20 is what people use. Sometimes you go to 70-30 or 25-25, 75-25. Rarely do people tend to move to the 90 because it's just too lean. And if you're going to add extra fat on the outside, it just doesn't work. As you said earlier, rightly said, sometimes it burns and they add olive oil and other things. So 70, 80 is probably the best when you to achieve what you want to do. At the same time, as we said, Wagyu. What's Wagyu? What's Angus? We tend to use these interchangeably. We tend to just throw them on labels, in the US especially. They're the biggest culprit because it's not regulated. Outside of Japan and, I don't want to say somewhat, and Australia, they're regulated properly when it comes to Wagyu. First of all, what is Wagyu? What does it say? What does it mean? The definition is Wagyu, which is Japanese cow. That's it. So when people say, I'm using Wagyu, great. That's fantastic, you're using Wagyu. And they use that as a marketing tool, selling tool, because they feel that it is a better cut or a better cattle. I'm using my words because I don't want to use the word breed, because we'll get to what breed means. Angus is the same thing. Angus is a breed. It's not a type. It's not marbling. It tends to be more intermuscular fat and having more. I forgot. It tends to be more intermuscular fat and having a higher fat ratios. Therefore, they start calling it Angus beef, Angus beef, Angus beef. But in all reality, it's just the breed. We have another one, Kobe. You know Kobe?
Of course.
Yeah. What's Kobe? Kobe is a place in Japan, guys. I know it's part of the cattle industry too. But going into what Wagyu is, let's take a step back. Wagyu is the collection of 4 breeds, Japanese cow breeds, which is the red, the black, the short-horned, and then the horn that is bred out of it. Those are the 4 types, and there's 6 types, by the way, but the other 2 are not considered Wagyu. So when you have them from that, it can be considered a Wagyu beef, Wagyu breed beef. The most common is the black. That's the one that people use, and it's been going on. And that has been shipped and interbred in the US and Australia. So you have Australian Wagyu, you have US, American Wagyu. American Wagyu, you have no idea what it's been bred together and what they came out with, but yet they put them on labels and people have Wagyu. So it's a very interesting topic. What's your sort of affiliation with Wagyu, and when one says Wagyu, what do you feel? What comes to your mind?
When people talk about Wagyu or Angus, automatically they would think, okay, it's good meat. No, it's not. You need to understand what it is, and then is it dried or not dried? Is it fresh or not fresh? Is it frozen or not frozen? And lots of things freshly brought in, and lots of things to look into. So yes, when people say Japanese meat usually is not exported, and it's very expensive to be exported. I'm not sure anyone was going to use it in a burger. When you go on Wagyu and you go with the MB4, 5, etc., it's how strong the breed is in Australia. So when the Wagyu was brought from Japan and brought to Australia, and then the crossing between them, so the generation it passes, it takes a number. So 4, 5, and an MB9 is close to a purified Australian breed that is loaded with fat. And the more the number goes up, the more fat it has. Is it better than an American? Says who? More fat doesn't mean better, doesn't mean tastier. Is having lots of fat in a Wagyu good for a burger? It's good for a meat. Is it good enough for a burger? So when you put it and you grind it, one, it's too expensive, and then you're gonna grind lots of white marbling or fat, it's gonna be probably a 50-50 or 70-30, 70 fat, 30 meat. Would it be enjoyable? No, it wouldn't be enjoyable. So you need to understand what kind of meat, so what kind of beef from the cattle that has had less stress, so it's not chewy. And then would you mix it with its own fat or fat from something else? So would you take an Angus beef with a Wagyu fat? Would you take an Angus from the chuck and put it with fat from the belly or somewhere else? So all of these are very important things that a master burger person would understand to use. So we hear okay, we go to a restaurant, you read Wagyu and you say, this is good meat, expensive. Let me pay the price.
Exactly.
This is marketing. The Americans have created a brand called Certified Angus Beef that certifies that Angus is Angus. And it's the breed of Angus. They do not say it's a breed.
Yes.
They do not say it's better. They do not say it has more fat. They do not say. So in the American language, you need to have prime, select, and choice. So all the three can be an Angus, can be a Wagyu, can be a local Balade, can be a Brazilian mix, can be, and whatever it is. So you need to understand this. And on an Australian, again, if you're using a Wagyu MB, yes, it is certified, but is it good for a burger or not? So back to rewind. If you want to choose your perfect meat or your choice of meat, beef, what would you and how?
Personally, I am known that I use US beef. Again, my flavor profile, there's something different. So I would use, in a perfect burger, I would use chuck, US chuck, with Wagyu, proper Wagyu trimmings, meaning the fat, as you said, rightly said. Do you add from the chuck or do you add from that? Just to enhance a little bit of the searing and the taste and the juiciness. That to me would be perfect. If I want to go a little bit step higher, I can use US prime, brisket. Again, no need to add. The prime, which is the highest grading system in the US between select, choice, US prime, lends itself to have enough marbling. You want to go head to head with Wagyu? Just a little bit of information, the US prime sits at around 2 to 3 MB. So you go exactly. And as you said, the more fat does not necessarily mean it's a better burger. You have to know the ratio of how much fat you're putting in and how much fat is already in the intramuscular choice of cut that you've used. So it really, a lot of it is trial and error, your taste. When you put it in the grinder, you know what comes out. And there are actual tools right nowadays, because obviously everything is technologically advanced. You can put that piece in there and it will tell you exactly how much fat content versus how much that. Or the old way, you've got your lean and you've got your chunks of fat and you go ahead and weigh it, measure it, and you put it, and you'll know that it's 70 lean, 30 fat. So for me, again, 70-30 is an optimal. 80-20 is still good if you're using, again, a prime. And you go with that.
people tend to compare where comparisons are not made, are not adequate. So would you say I prefer American, I prefer Australian? Some do. Some would feel the smell. Some would feel the fattiness and sliding effect on the tongue.
Yeah.
But wait, I would enjoy an American on a Monday and an Australian on a Wednesday, depending on what I feel.
Yeah.
The difference is that why Americans have only 3. Americans are known to have 30 to 90 days of corn and soy feed. This is why the texture is different, stronger in texture. It's not chewy, but it's stronger in texture and more flavorful. You would taste meat in America has more flavor, has more texture. I really personally enjoy biting into the meat. I don't like it to melt under my mouth. I like to eat it. Yeah. On the Australian way, it's more fat flavor. Yeah. It's grass-fed, so more of the nature, more of the green chlorophyll, more of the different feeling, different taste. So what do you like as a personal preference, and how would you treat it later on? Is what would make a difference between a burger professional and a normal butcher that wants to create a burger? So let's pick up on that discussion where you said you would choose adequately your meat, take from here, take from there, trimmings which people usually do not use, you would use them, a balance and create your own mix that wouldn't be any hello, send me a bit of meat from the butcher and then
because the meats from the butcher, not necessarily they're going to give you exactly what you want. It's meat in the end and it's ground. So when you grind it, you will really not know. But if you're great with the butcher and you have a good relationship, you can actually know the origin and trace it to whatever it is, so you know what you're getting. So preferably you grind your own, or preferably you hook up with a butcher.
Chilled, wrapped in a nylon bag, imported directly from the origin.
Yeah, and you know exactly what it is. I want to jump quickly. Grain or grass for you? If you had just not someday this, someday, grain or grass, what's your?
I'll do the grass when the cattle is a kiddo, grain when it matures, and that last part of grain.
Grass finished or absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Grain finished on the American level gives it a huge difference.
Yeah, it's beefy flavor too. You get that, as you said, strong beefy flavor. But yeah, it's interesting because now, again, everybody's grass-fed. Is it grass-fed? We serve grass-fed. We serve Wagyu grass-fed. Fantastic. What does that mean? Nobody knows. That's good.
Okay, you took the beef, you mixed it with the fat. You have a 70-30 or 80-20, and then what's next? How much would you grind it?
For me, single grind medium. Single grind medium. I want to see air pockets. I want to see fluffiness. The chewiness that you're talking about, chewiness level, you don't want to have a chewy burger, but you want to have a bite. That depends on how you cook it and how you sear it. So they will bind together. I will loosely make it into either a patty or a
Never press it.
A burger press? No, so you can burger press it as long as you put it in loosely, because you're pressing it once and then you take it out and you have it properly. So that to me is ideal. But hand formed is also great. But hand formed, we get too anxious and we start doing it. We're like, you know what? It's gonna fall in our head. It's gonna fall apart. Let's smash it more. So a hand press actually is better because it does the job for you properly, and you get uniform. In the end, you want uniform burgers. So grind your own meat, hand form or press it, wax paper to make sure that it doesn't stick if you're going to have multi burgers. When you grill it, couple of ways of grilling it. You can grill it straight on a flat top. You can do what some restaurants do. They will also put it in an oven or like a salamander or whatnot. A mibrasa if you want to get technical, or a jasper, and you have those things. That's where you get that sort of sear and you can control the doneness. On the flat top is quite a little bit harder when you're trying to do a thick burger. Hence, the flat top is beautiful for those smash burgers. But yeah, this is what I would say in terms of the meat process of that. Another, just for since we're saying another cut that is used very popular also is the short rib. So a lot of people will use short rib. again, or sirloin, or ribeye, dare I say, somebody grinding up a ribeye, but you'll have, again, in the better burger market, a ribeye burger or a brisket burger. What are they achieving? The level of beefness. So that's what they're getting. So when you grind that and you use that in there, you're kind of going towards a steak burger, which a lot of people enjoy. That I'm having. They feel ground beef because they're so used to going to the supermarket and not having a great experience with it, and it's just whatever meat's there and they grind it. That's kind of what people tend to think of it. But if you know your beef and you grind it, it's the best thing. Hence, going back to kibinai and steak tartare.
Sometimes you eat a burger and you feel that something squeaches
underneath your...
Yes, exactly. What happens? Is it the quality of fat?
It's the gristle sometimes, and it's a muscle, so there's valves, there's all kinds of things. That's why the butcher is very important. It's very important that you know your butcher, you know what he's doing and how he's doing, he or she's doing it. Mistakes happen, especially in mass butchering, and time, and we need this, and delivery. They will put in there and they won't clean. So the first process is you need to clean that silver skin or that soft fat that you see on there, not the hard fat. The hard fat you want. And if you don't clean it much and it gets in there, it grinds, and it's almost like a shoelace in a sense that it's there. And that will never melt. So fat that doesn't melt, you're gonna get like a little ball, and it happens all the time.
Do you need to adapt the quality of your meat depending on your grill? Do you think that if you have a flat grill, you would use a certain category, and if you have a charcoal, you would use another one because of...
Not necessarily, but it tends to, let's say, cook better if you know what you're using and how you do it. But in terms of what we said earlier, taking the meat, grinding it, forming your patty, you can do it on a flat top, you can do it on a grill, you can do it on charcoal. Charcoal will give you that extra layer. The oven gives you that flexibility of doing doneness and making sure that it's proper and perfect. And the flat top gives you that sear.
Frozen or not frozen?
Not frozen, but I want to break some myths. And I'm sure you guys are going to comment, let's just say, instead of the other word. For sure, if you have the ability to have freshly ground meat processed in the morning and serving it same day, it's the best. But if you have to grind it and then flash freeze it, vacuum sealed, it's not as bad as anyone thinks. But frozen meat that you buy at the supermarket that's been frozen, you don't know what meat it is, how long it's been there, what date it's there. Those are the ones that just, because what is freezing meat over time? What do you lose? You lose the quality and the taste eventually. But you can get from there, as long as you defrost it properly and don't do the old, let's chuck it under the water for a while. Take it from the freezer, put it in the fridge, let it come to its natural state, and cook it. What it actually does, it tenderizes it more. This is a known fact, but again, let me be clear. Freshly ground, there's nothing like it. It's fantastic.
Can you order a medium or a red burger, or it needs to be super well cooked?
No, personally, I go with medium. So for me, my sweet spot is in Fahrenheit, it would be 130 to maximum 140, which is
Tell me more
medium.
about the Fahrenheit thing. Tell me more about how important it is not to look at the meat, but feel it and put the temperature.
Yeah, the temperature is very important, I feel, because again, remember, if you're, it depends who you're serving it to. If it's for the family, whatnot, you already know what they like and whatnot. But if it's an establishment, a restaurant, yes, there are rules and regulations that are FDA approved and health authority and whatnot, which they say 165. 165, you're talking about a burger, you're talking about, and a steak. Well done.
So you have your thermometer with you always?
I have a thermometer, yes, absolutely. Again, when it's a smash burger, you don't really need a thermometer because it's so thin. You get that crust, you flip it, you do it again. And by doing it so many times, you know exactly what it is. Feel and touch, absolutely, you can get there. The most important thing is resting it if you're doing a thick burger. You need to rest it. Guys, this is really important. You need to rest it. They say, 5 minutes. If you really want to go by the book, however time you cooked it, you rest it. Believe it or not. Why? Because the juices will then go where it's supposed to go and not form in the center. When you cut it, it just goes everywhere. And that's where the shock is. Oh, it's bleeding, it's blood. Oh, I don't want to eat it. Cook it more for me. What about yourself? When one says, I want a medium or medium rare. What's your preference in a burger? A burger, not a steak.
Medium
And do you
or
have,
rare.
sorry, do you have a difference between my steak, I like it like this, and my burger, I like it like this?
I'm medium all the way. I would start by answering always, let the chef do it his way. So probably
Okay.
the chef likes it overcooked or cooked or undercooked. He definitely has a way for it to be good. This is why it has become famous. So when I go to a restaurant, I never say remove this, remove that, remove this, remove that. Or else whenever I'm obliged to say remove the garlic, or I'll order something else. But when it comes to how the way I eat is the way the chef wants it to be. So if the chef says medium is better, go medium. If he says no, I'm not sure about medium, let it be medium one, do it your way. And I'm not sure those people who go in and say, I want it my way. Your way, eat it at home.
Yeah, I
So,
was just gonna say.
so I've heard it probably at your grill, someone coming and say, I want it overcooked, let the two patties stick on it, remove the onions, don't put too much ketchup. Whoa, whoa. What the hell are you coming to me?
Customization is good, but to a point when you have customization. Yeah, absolutely.
So medium all the way. I like my patty to be juicy. I don't like at all, and I can't imagine feeling that squeeginess or that, that pieces
Foreign
of fat,
object that you
foreign
don't like.
objects,
Yeah.
pieces of fat that just like caoutchouc go all around.
Yeah.
For me, it's very important that the patty itself has the flavor itself. So always, 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 I start with the first bite, enjoy the burger, say, yummy, okay. I stop, I take my fingers and go to the patty and take a piece.
piece out.
I need to feel the patty. And some chefs would cover up with all the condiments and all the things around, so the patty wouldn't taste good. So I need to understand, I need to feel that the patty is good. Enough salt, enough butter, enough flavor, enough flavor. So when you eat it, you feel, okay, it feels like a steak. It feels like I can eat it alone, no need for all the things. Yeah. All the other things are flavor enhancers and not covering up to the rest. And sometimes, always, you would know the chef by eating the meat alone. And wow, talking about the bad things, sometimes you would smell it and say, oh, whoa.
Yeah. Pickle or no pickle?
American pickles.
American
dill pickles, nicely sweet. Definitely not the Lebanese ones, not the acidic ones, not the ones you eat with full and hummus. The enjoyable sweet pickles. I believe what makes a Big Mac is the pickle. And the nice American pickles are all in for me. You?
Yeah, pickles all the way. Pickles for me, I think it cuts through the fat. It helps it balance it out. For me, it's
Let me
there.
overview it with, if you allow me, my answering or telling you about my personal burger is a Five Guys.
Yeah.
It's something in between a fast food and a gourmet. It's done right, priced well, double the price of a Big Mac. It has a very, very good quality meat, 100% beef, no mixes, no hidden things.
Fillers, nothing. Yeah.
It's not freezed. The bun is always great. It doesn't feel sweet. It's a brioche with no sweetness. I like the sesame on top. I love the way you can put your own ingredients. So for me, ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, and tomato, and the pickle. I really enjoy the quality of cheese they have. And the most important part of it all is how they wrap it in aluminum. So the cheese melts on the patty. So the cheese does not melt on the grill. The cheese is added later on, so it is cold. You need to put it in that aluminum, eat it after 15 minutes. Enjoy the burger now and enjoy it after 20 minutes. Yeah. Oh my goodness, the difference.
Huh?
Oh my God, the difference.
It also steams the bun. So
it steams the
bun.
bun. The tomatoes keep that coldness. And the beef is so nice. Yeah. Everything sticks together. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look appetizing, I would say. But just close your eyes, eat it, feel all of these. It doesn't have that shape of Instagrammable. It's the least Instagrammable burger on earth.
It looks horrible.
But it's beautifully done. Yeah. So how would you manage to create a la chaîne, a mass production of a smashed burger that always feels the same, a bun that has always the same flavor, enough juices that are not fatty to overpower. And I've had Five Guys in 17 countries. I've had Five Guys for the last 15 years. I've had Five Guys at least on average once every 2 months, not to say more, and sometimes 5 in a single month, and never disappointed. Yeah. Twice, I can remember in my life, once the bun was a bit old, probably depending on the quality they had in the specific country without telling you where. And another time the patty was a bit too fatty for my flavor, different than the American one they usually use. And these are the two.
Yeah, I agree.
In specific to the country I was having it in.
Yeah. Five Guys for me, absolutely. That would, because remember we were talking about the Big Mac was for the fast food. For the fast casual, for me, also Five Guys. I'm going to add to what you said, because everything you said, I agree 100%. Going back to my thing about thickness, it's a smash burger, right? Considered a smash burger, but the thickness is still there. Mm-hmm. It's not a smash burger that you don't have any beef in it. So they're doing that right. I agree with you. I agree with you. I like Five Guys, actually.
So I have this particular question is, you put your meat your beef on the grill. That grill is a flat grill, so the juices stay around. Some of them evaporate, probably the water. All the rest stays around it and then reabsorbed or not by the beef. On the other hand, you take that patty, Burger King style, throw it on a charcoal grill. All the juices go away. Fire hits the beef and probably burns it in a way or another. So some people have preferences left or right, but does the meat quality or meat choice has a different thing to it? You need to choose your meat appropriately?
Look, for both of them, let's just take the standard, which is chuck. If you use chuck on the flat grill and you use chuck on a charcoal grill, they both work. The charcoal will add the charcoal, the flavor, the flame, but the juices that you feel go down, which is the fat juices, that's just the immediate on the outside, but inside you have all the juices there. That is retaining. That's why you don't touch it in terms of smashing it. Of course, you touch it, you can move it and get your grill marks and whatnot. When you use, let's say, a different cut, brisket or any other type of a steak sort of cut, our palate is used to it on the grill. Those fire, when it hits it and it chars it up, those little beautiful brown bits is what you're getting as notes. So we tend to feel that if I use this cut, it's going to be that. It's just affiliation. It's an affiliation with what how you cook a steak. You cook a steak on a flat top if you have a choice. If you don't have a choice and you only have a pan and everything, you're cooking on a pan. The reverse, beautiful pan on a cast iron steak with the butter and the rosemary and whatnot, and you start basting it. It's beautiful, no? So it's interchangeable, I think. I don't think it's 100% direct relation to the cut. Yeah.
So in our culture, you living in the States, us in Dubai, we always talk about American versus Australian beef. We forget about the Argentinian, the Brazilian, the South African, and we always forget about the European, Charolais, the French people, etc., etc. Let's go back to beef. You can work with any beef. What are for you, if you do not have to choose between this or that, or if you receive a piece of beef, what are the criteria for someone who doesn't know how to choose your perfect beef for a burger? What would you look at? How would you look at? And how would any beef that you receive from all across the globe would fit for a burger?
Again, you need to look for intermuscular fat because that helps the beef. If it's just pure lean beef, it's going to be tough. It's not going to taste what you think. And if you don't sear it properly, you'll probably overcook it because you're trying to brown it. Without the fat and the protection of the fat, you're not going to have that experience. So first thing is you look for the marbling. Second thing, if you have a choice and you can talk to a butcher, make sure you ask for chuck, shoulder, and whatnot. It lends itself the best. If you want to go a little bit high quality, you can do a blend of, as we said, either some brisket or sirloin or ribeye and whatnot if you have the means to do that. It's very important that they grind it fresh in front of you and they take what you want to grind it. Because a lot of times in Lebanon, they'll hamburger, we'll chuck in some lamb fat. That's how they're used to it. I don't want lamb fat in it. Trust me. Baby. No. And what I used to do before getting my own grinder, and it's very cheap, guys. You should go out and get yourself a grinder. A home grinder, it lends itself very well to make one of the better burgers and fresh, is I make them. Spinnies used to hate me, but they customer and they had that sort of understanding that we need to honor it. I make them wash it in front of me. You wash that one. I don't want any mixing. and they wash it in front of me, and then we use that thing. So it's very easy to get good quality, freshly ground meat these days. The butchers at your stores, they're well adept to do that. It's just you need to guide them.
So when you receive a meat, look at it, feel it, smell it.
Smell it for sure.
Culture, at the color, excuse me.
Yeah.
Feel it between your fingers. Feel if it's good or not. Smell it well. It's very important.
You should not have any bad smell. Like when there's a off-putting smell, it's not, oh, it's beef. Beef doesn't smell bad. So that's another like sort of red.
And then look at your meat. If you see fat, add less added fat from the outside. If you don't see fat, if it's a pure red piece of beef, you'll have to add more. So just understand, feel it, play with it, and then grind it. Personal choice, once, coarse or fine, and then play it with your hand. Do not press it with machines. Prepare it and put it individually in the fridge. Should we put it in the fridge each piece at a time, or all the bunch and then prepare it for burger making immediately? So you would take all that bucket and put it in the fridge, or no, you need to prepare it like bread, each one alone, and keep them on the side?
Yeah, for me, each one alone, separated, and then put it in the fridge if your room is cold enough. If it's not cold and you yourself are hot, make sure that beef is definitely sweating, and you don't want sweating beef at all. That's where, bacteria starts to grow at a certain temperature that you want to keep out of it. But yeah, but it's easy enough to do it, and the enjoyment of doing it, for me, I don't know if you have the same feeling, creating something and then eating it yourself is a wonderful feeling. Don't get me wrong, creating it and have other people eat it, that enjoyment I love more than anything.
Seeing the reactions.
Yes. Yeah.
Or feeling your own reaction and understanding what you prepared and saying, okay, if I would remove this, add this, next time I'm going to do it this way or this way or this way. This morning, I didn't want to eat bread, but I wanted to have breakfast. So I took a couple pieces of goat cheese, sliced them, added almonds on top, a bit of pecan nuts, drizzled them with Spanish olive oil,
Nice.
and had them with a fork.
With a fork, yeah.
While enjoying it, no bread, no sandwich, no sweetness, no honey, no nothing. Just every bite was a journey of whoa. You can.
Bread is sometimes a vessel. It's just a vessel where you have the fork also to do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Beef, everything you need to know. And this is the end of our episode. See you on the next one. Burger Unscripted.